What is going on, everybody? We're back. Yes, it felt like a very long break, and here we are ready to go after it again. We have Sheets with his last day off. Just a quick reminder before we get into everything, we will, as of Monday, be charging for the premium content, and we appreciate those of you guys who signed up early. A reminder to the first 25 people, $25 a month, and then 35 a month for the first 100, and then it goes to 45 a month. That'll be for the first 6 months, but the first 25, sorry, the first 100, we are going to let that go on for a full year. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. And we're ready to get rolling. We were actually implementing some optimizers with some other major sites out there, and going to be cross-branding some of the stuff that we don't have the development to do. Well, you'll be able to get our plays and our thoughts basically while using other optimizers that suit your best, whichever ones you like best, whichever ones you're most familiar with, as we develop our own optimizer into 2022. Anyway, really excited about everything with the site and really appreciate all you guys and the kind words. Reminder, give us anything else that you want to see. I'm going to be updating, cleaning up my, value plays page, my percentage owned, but we're giving out the free, we're giving out basically what we're doing. This is exactly what we're doing. We've been on a nice little tear. I had a nice little six day in a row winning streak last week or last week before the break, and we're ready to get to it because golf has not been great for me so far. Still got some chances, it's a long tournament, but let's talk some baseball, man. I'm ready to do this. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen because we don't have sheets today. This is going to be a quicker one, but I will also be doing my 5 and 5 plays, and I will be updating all my stuff. Sheets are all updated, so we're good there, but wanted to talk through a little bit about how I see this slate. On DraftKings, you've got a bunch of different options, right? Okay, pitching is I don't want to say it's loaded, but it's loaded with guys who all have upside. You've got Robbie Ray, Heaney as probably my two favorites. You got Ray at 9,300, Heaney at 74. I don't think you're getting way off the board at all with that. I think you're going to see pretty decent ownership on both those guys. But those are two guys who stand out. After them, I like Morton. Morton with another guy he's a 7.5K prop today. Really like him. So he's high on my list as well. Danny Duffy is more of a longer shot play, but I think there's upside for him against this Baltimore team at 7K. So I do think he's an interesting pivot off of Heaney. I think he'll have some ownership as well, but I don't think it'll be quite what Heaney's is. People are going to play some Chris Bassett. I'm okay with it. I think there's other places I'd look. Chris Paddock, it looks like that game is just, the weather looks like great for hitting, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull the trigger on that one. And then you get to Tyler Mahle and Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman will be overlooked because of his price and a fairly tough matchup, but not impossible. He's been absolutely awesome against righties, especially, but in general. And at 10.3, I think spending up for Gausman is a good way to go if you want to get a little bit different here on DK. And obviously, you can use him on FanDuel as well. You've also got Stroman, who maybe makes more sense as a logic play on FanDuel, but is only 7,900 here on DraftKings. So I have Ray and Heaney at the top currently, with Morton just behind. Maybe I could be talked into putting Morton ahead of Ray here or Heaney. I could see myself doing that, but I think it's pretty close between these guys. So that's sort of what I got right now. In terms of stacks, we've got a few good stacks, right? We've got San Diego today up against Fedde and Washington, whose bullpen is questionable at times, to say the least. I really think that you could fully stack this team. They're not my favorite stack. I'm just sort of going to get through the games. I do think guys like Tommy Pham stands out at 2,800 on FanDuel, where on DraftKings he's a little more expensive. I love Trent Grisham on DraftKings. And then you've got the obvious, boy, I don't know how you don't love this Tatis and Machado today. So I'm very, very high on San Diego. They are not my favorite stack. I currently have them rated third, but they are definitely a team I'm going to be using some combo stacks, using them as secondary stacks and some main stacks as well to complement. No spoilers here. The Dodgers and Blue Jays are the best stacks on the slate, and there are ways to get different in these stacks, and we're going to talk about it right now. Before we do, I do want to mention I like a few of the New York bats against Rodriguez. I like Voit and Stanton today. I just think that there's enough upside for these guys that just really good against lefties, especially Stanton. That if you want to take a one-off from a game that you're not really using, that's what I would be looking at. And then we got in this Toronto game, assuming all the weather holds up. What's interesting is that because there's so many outfielders, you're going to get low ownership. Now they're at the bottom of the lineup, but the way you could stack it is include Grichuk or Gurriel, who are going to be the lower owned parts of the stack, because everybody else is going to be in the teens to 20% ownership range. I've mentioned it before. Toronto plays like Coors North. I really think you can take some shots here on trying to maybe even play a Grichuk and Gurriel with a stack of Toronto. that's an interesting way to go. But obviously the main play is Bo Bichette. The main play overall is always Vlad Guerrero, who's just awesome. Simeon, Biggio. I love all these guys. I'm very high on Toronto tonight. I actually think that they're like 1A with the Dodgers. They're both excellent stacks. Senzatella in general, we'll get to that game in a minute, but he struggles a lot with the Dodgers. And in general, he's not a guy who I pick on as much as other people do because everyone loves to because the hard hit rates and everything, but he manages to just not give up as many home runs as you'd think. But the Dodgers are the team that tends to get to him. So I really do like the Dodgers and Blue Jays as my main stacks, with the Padres just after that. Going to that Dodger game, I wanted to say how I would stack it to try and get maybe a little bit different. Now, it's going to be hard to do. Justin Turner tends to get a little bit overlooked in these situations. Chris Taylor's high price might keep some people off of him. I think Betson is the best play, followed by Bellinger. And then you've got too cheap AJ Pollock on DraftKings, who's going to get some love. Will Smith. I love Will Smith on FanDuel, 3,200 over there, 4,600 on DraftKings. There's a lot of ways you could go with the stack. We sort of want to see what the lineup shakes out, but it's probably going to be the main lineup that we expect. And then the guy who does tend to get the lowest ownership and is the cheapest is Gavin Lux. So I love Gavin Lux here as a value play, not just as a one-off. So what I'm doing mostly are going to be combination Dodgers, Blue Jays, and then I'm including the Padres, KC, the Cubs, and then a combination of the Reds-Milwaukee game. Now we've got Alfonso Marquez behind the plate as of right now, which always has been changing a lot more this year. And you have a good pitcher in Tyler Mahle, who I actually think, he's got a 7.5K prop and he's cheaper and might get a little bit overlooked where he was just chalking this exact same spot the other day or right before the break. I think that Tyler Mahle is a viable guy to use. I also think it's very viable to take some bats against him. And the guys who I like in this game are, you got to love Tyler Naquin's price on both sides. There's too much power upside. Batting fifth, he doesn't play every day. They do the platooning, but he's still hit 13 home runs in the first half of the season. He's got plenty of power. Hauser's not a guy. Again, I don't want to fully stack this, but I'm looking for mini, like 2-man on each side or a 2 and a 1. And then maybe I play, one of my other full stacks to go with it. But I do like some of the spots in this game. Jesse Winker has come down to affordable, and considering that he was like 7K or 6,500 like not too long ago. So I do like Winker quite a bit as well. And then on the Milwaukee side, I'm expecting a big second half of the year from Christian Yelich to sort of get it together. And he's sort of my favorite, but excuse me. He's sort of my favorite, but I do think that you can mix in, Jace Peterson is cheap enough. I don't really love these other spots, but I do have this game as just with Marquez behind the plate. There is a little more upside than maybe it seems like right off the bat. So I like maybe, mainly I guess for me, it's mostly on the Cincinnati side and it's mostly with Winker and Naquin, but I do like Yelich as an unowned top play. I also think Castellanos won't be very high owned either. So I am interested in all those guys. I want to talk a little bit about the KC game because they're up against Keegan Aiken and what is maybe one of the 3 worst bullpens in baseball. You get the lefty on the mound. You got to look, you want to play Witt and these guys, but the truth is, let's not bury the lead here. Like Jorge Soler is 2,900, one of the best value plays on the slate. Absolutely love Soler here. I like Hunter Dozier. We've got him at 3,300. He's another one who I don't expect to get a ton of love. Look, he's a boom or bust guy. You can look at him. His numbers are nothing to be excited about. He did look better right before the break, was hitting the ball hard, but I like sort of those 2 guys as value to combine with your Whit Merrifield. And of course, Salvador Perez just has been freaking awesome this year. So that's the KC stack, the way that I like it anyway. You can mix in a bunch of different plays in that one, but I do think that there's a huge amount of upside for them to maybe contend with the Dodgers, Padres, and Blue Jays. And then we get the Cubs against Bumgarner. We've seen the good Bumgarner. We've seen the bad. I think this is a play more on FanDuel for me. Wilson Contreras is 2,700, so I've got him as an actually highlighted value play on over there. I love Patrick Wisdom. I think this guy can hit it out of any park anytime. He's just got monster power. So I'm putting Wisdom as a guy who's a little bit maybe, I don't want to say off the board, but maybe people aren't going to play quite as much. Chris Bryant, obviously another one. He's probably the second best play behind Contreras, all things considered on FanDuel. On DraftKings, excellent play at 4,300. Javi Baez is just a monster against lefties for his career. I could see getting behind that. And Bumgarner just doesn't fool anybody as much. And you're going to want strikeouts if you're going to beat the Cubs. He doesn't do that. So we can include anybody else in that stack, but that's the way I'm looking at it. So just to sort of highlight what I was saying, this is my order of pitchers: Ray, Heaney, Morton, Gaussman, Duffy, Molly, Paddock, Stroman, but mostly going to be leaning on the top end of that. And that's what I'm doing on DraftKings as well as FanDuel today. Some individual one-offs that I like or as parts of combos. I didn't mention Oakland, but I love Matt Olson today. I don't mind a little Oakland stack either. You can play Laureano and Olson, just a little mini, maybe a 2 or 3 man. Not my favorite full game stacks. Those are going to be mostly reserved for Dodgers, Blue Jays, Padres, and Royals, maybe some Cubs. But that's the way I have the stacks in order too. Dodgers, Blue Jays, Padres, KC, Cubs. That's my order. And again, these are subject to change as later in the day. We'll see what happens. Umpire data, who's actually in the starting lineup will be a big factor. Giancarlo Stanton, Kyle Tucker, Laureano, who I just mentioned, Grisham, Wisdom, Bryant, Baez. Those are some of the one-offs, two-offs, mini stacks that I'm going to be using to complement Yelich, my bigger stacks, and some value plays on DraftKings. Gavin Lux, Tyler Naquin, Jorge Soler, Dozier, who I mentioned. I didn't mention David Fletcher, who's really caught fire sort of at the end of the break. We're starting to see him sort of come into himself. He's always been he's a good hitter. He's a good guy to get you 6 or 7 fantasy points, but he really popped at the end of just red hot right before the break. Maybe that carries over. Did he actually even hit a couple home runs in the last couple games? I don't mind the Angels as a stack. I'm just not getting to them, and I want to sort of draw a line in the sand somewhere. But if you want to play a Fletcher or Ohtani, I'm certainly not going to fault you for that. Santander is another one, 2,600 over here that I think makes a lot of sense. You see his price just always sort of stands out for the fact that he has upside against Duffy, a switch hitter. He's not it's not the most exciting play in the world, but I do think he's definitely viable at 2,600. Cole Calhoun coming back is the minimum cost and should be batting, I don't know, 5th or 6th. Maybe even they'll put him at the top of the order. They've done that a few times over there in Arizona. And you get him against Hendricks. Hendricks is a good pitcher, but 2K is the minimum price, and we can play Cole Calhoun. We can also play Ben Gamel. These are 2 cheap options that I like. I don't really like, I'm not trying to pick on Stroman at all, but 2K guys with a little bit of upside. Those are your minimum cost guys as of right now until we get some later stuff. On FanDuel, my favorite values are Naquin, Pham, Contreras, and Alex Dickerson. I guess I could include Dickerson on DraftKings as well, but I just think at 2,200 on FanDuel is if you're looking for a cheapish guy other than Tyler Naquin, that's the guy I'm using. So guys, this is hopefully helpful. I'm going to update all my sheets. I'm going to send out my 5 and 5 video today, and let's crush it. We'll be doing a live show. It's going to be just me. I'll probably be doing it from 6 to 6:30 Eastern time. We're going to have a regular schedule as of next week. All videos will be released by 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So that will be 12:30 East Coast, and we'll have them all done and ready early as of Monday. We'll also be doing sweat shows every day at 11 p.m. Eastern time, and just anybody who's got a sweat going, or even if you don't, just want to talk a little baseball with us, we're going to be doing, sometimes it'll be a brief show that'll be 10 minutes. Sometimes it'll be a long show that's going to be an hour and a half, and somebody's going to win all the money. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also be doing, obviously, Sheets will be here. We'll have every day. We'll do our breakdown, our live before lock, and flirting with the times with the live before lock. Let us know what you'd prefer. We're thinking about maybe starting at 5:30 Eastern, going to 6:30 Eastern. So people who do like to watch Crunch Time and Roth, and I don't blame them. There's some weather concerns all the time. I don't mind if people want to tune into that. We're not against anybody else's sites. We're trying to make you guys the biggest winners you can. So we can go with you up till lock. We can go with you till a half hour before lock. I kind of like it that way, so we can, not cross over with the Roth weather stuff, because that is one thing. We're going to be honest with everything. With some things we can compete on. I think that we're as good of players as anybody there is in the world. Me and Sheets approach it very differently. And we're guys who can do it without playing $150,000 a day. But we are not necessarily weathermen. So if there's a guy who knows more about weather and that's important to you, we want to give you that option of being able to tune to something else and not have to listen to our simplified version. And really, it's just weather that's the only thing I feel like we're really lacking on. But that's a big thing in baseball, obviously, not just in terms of the whether or not a game plays, but delays, obviously, whether you can take a risk on a pitcher, and also more importantly, possibly, is just the hitting conditions. Anyway, guys, really excited about what we're doing. I'll be in Discord all day. Let's fire it up. Let's talk about some lineups. We're going to also be doing some coaching stuff for the people who are members. So if you want to get interested, get in on that, make sure to send me a DM, and we'll set up a time to do a 10 or 15-minute review of your lineup. And if we can publicize it, great. If not, if you want to do it just with us, that's great too. But we want to give you guys some proprietary, something that's different than a little bit what other sites are doing, rather than just giving you plays every day. We want to, keep going with turning everybody into the best DFS players possible. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We will be with you. I'll be with you in a few hours later this afternoon. It'll be 6 o'clock Eastern time today. And good luck to everybody out there. We will see you at the top of the leaderboards.